Morning, everyone. Today we are going through the cloud specifically for our education clients. I think we have got some existing clients on the call, but we also, I understand, are welcoming some new faces. I think there should be a chat box somewhere, which our marketing team will be monitoring. So if you have any questions, if you could just pop it all in the chat box and then we can follow up with you afterwards. We will probably be spending about half an hour on today's webinar, but it is recorded. So if you do need to drop off, don't worry. The link to the webinar will be sent to you and that'll all be stored on our website. Just have a couple of slides to go through at the start before we actually crack on to show you the software. Apologies for existing clients, but for our new faces here, just some background as to who we are. So we've actually been around for 40 years. The software was originally built for the education sector. So we've already got Spine Point's job posts, which are native to our payroll software. Education is our largest sector, which isn't surprising considering the software was originally geared up to the education sector. So you can see from the stats how many clients we're dealing with. Within the education sector, we have a range of clients. So we've got schools, colleges, multi-academy trusts, and our software will show you how it can be sort of tailored to suit the different sector that you're in. And then you can also see how many backs payments we're doing. So very scalable solution as well. Today we are going through the payroll outsourcing, so that it's in the middle of the top row. But this is just to highlight the other services that we do offer. So we're going through outsourcing payroll, but if you did want to take your payroll in-house, we've got the payroll software for you to do that. And we also have a co-managed approach, which is a bit of a hybrid between the two. We've got HR software, which is fully integrated with our payroll software, and we also have a HR outsourcing element. We've got expenses software, recruitment software, holiday and absence management, international payroll, and we also have a product called Cintra Groups. I'm going to be touching on this just towards the last 5 minutes of the webinar, but there is another webinar tomorrow at, just going to check my notes, at 2 p.m, specifically going on to Cintra Groups. If you are from a multi-academy trust joining us, that would really, really, really be worth your time having a look at the software. This page is just to highlight why Cintra is well suited to the education software sector. So firstly, the system's date driven. So that means you can easily backdate, prorata, and make mid-month changes to your pay. We've got post-specific management within the cloud. So I'm going to show you how you can add posts, spine points, and working patterns. We've got the pension administration, so we can handle all of your TPS and LGPS pension schemes. We also have an MCR module innate within the software. Great thing about MCR module, so in 2022, 98% of our clients had adopted the MCR module as opposed to the rest of the UK, which was trending at 60%. So that's something we're really proud of. The software also enables you to run reports. Today we are going to be looking at it more from an outsourcing point. So we would produce the reports for you, which you would like to check. And during implementation, that's when you tell us the reports that you want. But you also would have access to a bespoke report writer. So should you want to have access to be able to get in and bring your own reports as and when you like, you've also got that ability to do so. And we can also produce your statutory forms for you, like your maternity pay schedule, for example. So I'm just going to share my screen with you now, and apologies, this is the first time I'm using this site. So let's hope I actually managed to share my screen with you properly. I think you can all see that looking at the screen. Perfect. This is the cloud, but I just want to start just by guiding you back to our website. Within our website, if you go onto resources and our outsourced services resources, this is where you can see all of the pay schedules. So if you were to come on board, we have a specific monthly schedule for education pay, which is different to our other clients because we recognise the complexities that there are within the education sector, and therefore you do just need that little bit longer to be able to check your payroll to make sure you're happy before you submit that. So that's all on our website, as are all of our price lists as well, should you be interested in having a look at that. We don't do any hidden costs. We're very transparent about all of our additional costs and services. So yeah, if you just resources, OSS resources, which you can see on the right-hand side there, and this page will appear for you. Right, so we're in the payroll software now. So just some housekeeping in terms of logging in, it's multi-factor authentication. So you'd pop your email and password in and you have a unique code sent to your phone to log in. It's fully cloud-based and you can have as many admin users as you like on the software, and then we can build in different permissions around those. So should you want finance, for example, to have read-only access, but HR are actually the people that need to be fundamentally making all the changes, we can build in those different permission groups. This is what you'll see when you log into your payroll. It's all based on live data. So this is the most recent information you've submitted to us. Why this is so important is because you can see that when you come to submit your payroll, exactly where everything is. So you can see all of the variances, all the one-off payments that have been popped in. So there shouldn't be any surprises when we're running the payroll and producing the reports for you. If we start at the beginning of the journey, so when you add a new starter in, there's a couple of ways you can do that. So you can either use a wizard. So this is where you would start to fill in the first page and then it would take you down these different sections on the right-hand side, which you'd expect to be filling in. So payment details, costing details, etc. Or you can start to bulk import. So obviously come September time, if you have a lot of new starters, you'll want to just be downloading the template. I'll show you what the template is going to look like and just mass importing that. This is going to have the same information that the wizard has, so your names, date of birth, address, etc. And then you would just simply drag and drop that into the system. All of your new starters will then appear here. We ask for all information to be submitted by the cloud. So we don't want any emails sent to us because it's not a safe and secure way to be putting such sensitive information into a system. So you put everything into the cloud and then you can straight away see the impact of that. So now I can see all my new starters that I've popped in. I can see if I've completed the HMRC starter checklist because it'll have a nice green tick next to it. And if I still need to do that, then it'll have a amber triangle. So I can come in here and edit employee information. Just to sort of recap on the employee details that you would have popped in. So we've got your basic details, the employee's address details, their payment details, their employment details. And then here, this is where we get into the education specific elements where we can start to pop in their position details. So we can start to add in the different posts. During implementation, that's when we would build your posting for you. The position title, the job title, the start date and the end date if known. If they've got multiple posts, you would just select yes if it's an additional one to one that's already existing, or no if you're popping them into the system first time. If they're using a pay spine, you can select yes. And then here, this is where you're going to pop in your spine point directly into the system, the grade that they're on as well. Obviously, the benefit of this is we've already got your spine points built into the system for implementation, but it just means you can get in there, make the change directly yourself so you know that it's been done. We've also got the FTE entry method, so if it's direct or based upon the contracted hours. The software can handle your multiple working patterns. Again, during implementation, we'll make sure we've got your working patterns mapped into the system, so you'd just be choosing the relevant one. This has got thousands just because it's a demo site, so that would just be specific to your organisation. You can pop in the number of contracted weekly hours here, and the system will then work out the FTE or the contracted weeks per hour. We've then got costing details. So this is where you can add employees to a specific cost allocation. You can select the nominal account, the cost center, which you'd like them to be associated to, and which department that's with. We then have the HMRC starter checklist. So this is what it looks like. Let me just scroll up for you. So this is where we're asking, has the employee completed their starter checklist? You click yes or no. You click which statement is applicable to that employee, any student loans, what the type of student loans is, and then the declaration date. And once that's filled in, you're going to get this nice green tick here. Just to reiterate, if you have got any questions as we go along, please just keep popping those in the chat box and we'll monitor those. So that's how you input a new starter. Salaries and allowances. This is where you come to put all of your employee salaries in. So what we have here is we can see all of our employees. We've got their ID, their name, group, the position, the grades that they're on, the spine point they're associated to, the timeframes which the salaries are relevant to, the FTE period amount, annual amount, gross amount, and the variance. Again, this variance is a really powerful tool because it's based, just going back to the fact this is based on all live data. If all of your salaries stay very static and then you're seeing variances, for example, like this one, Lucky Robert getting a 76.5% increase, I think we'd all like to be him, you'll know something's gone amiss. So that's where you can go back in, you can check what you've submitted, edit that before you then submit it to our outsourced servicing team. To add a salary and allowance, again, it's just a case of downloading a template, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. Filling this in and then dragging and dropping it back into the system, remembering that the system is date driven. So if you do need to backdate or pro rata payments, you just need to pop the relevant dates in here and the system will automatically make those changes for you. We have this advanced view as well, which is a reporting tool for you to be able to use. So you can start to select all the relevant headings at the top, pop them into the rows, pop them into pivot mode. So you can then just start to make your own report. So if you do want to have a quick look at what's going on within your salary and allowances, you can build a specific report on that. You don't need to wait for us to turn that around for you when it's your checking period. We also have an export grid. This basically takes everything you see on the page into an Excel. So if you do want to manipulate any of the data outside of the system, you can do that. And that's present on all of our tiles. One-off payments and deductions. This is anything outside of a salary. So again, we've got the bulk import tool, but we do have it where you can do it on an individual basis. I would say on our HR offering, we do have timesheets. So that's where employees can go and log overtime and they can do that per post, which might be a quicker way if you're not, if that's a sort of a manual, if you're doing that manually at the moment. So if employees are actually writing down on paper or emailing their manager what they've done, they could just use our timesheet module, pop in the times that they worked, the overtime that was associated to, it'll automatically go to the manager for approval, and then it would sit in here. You know, that's quite frequent within the education sector. A lot of our clients do utilize that functionality, but you can come in here and you can just manually pop in all of the overtime and anything else. So we've got annual leave, any commission, any expenses that can be popped in here. We've got your holiday, and we can also do, if we just scroll right to the bottom, all of your deductions can be popped into the system too. Again, just popping the relevant date in, popping the amount in. Should you want to change the employee cost center, you would just toggle this button along and change the cost center, and you can pop some additional notes in. So just from an auditing purpose, if you do just want to give a little bit more context, feel free to utilize that. This is showing you all of your payments and deductions in the current period. You can also have your import history view. So this is just showing an audit of everything that's been popped into the system, who it was done by, and the date that was popped in. You can start to filter this down though. So if you think, actually, I'm only concerned with how much we have spent in annual bonus, for example, I'll just click annual bonus. It's going to filter through all of the noise here, and it will just show me the total amount that I spent in the bonus and the employees that that's relevant to. We also have the by heading view. So this just gives a summary of all of your one-off payments and deductions. It's just a really nice, neat way of having a look at that. We toggle back to the first tile here. You'll see it's got an arrow on the drop down. So within that arrow, you've got your gross pay, your net pay, and your total cost, which you can flick between. We're just looking at gross pay at the moment. So here we've got your employment ID, your employment name, the group, gross pay, net pay. Again, this variance, a really important tool for checking, and the total cost and the position. You can come in and view employees' pay details. This is effectively looking at a payslip. So you can have a look at the current period, but you can also use the tiles to toggle back. So should Claire come to me and she said, can you check my payslip from 2 months ago? You can just come in, toggle back, have a look what went on. You can also make overrides to the payslip in here. You'll see that they've got that little pencil icon next to it. So if I wanted to amend bonus shift, and instead of 10 hours, it should have been 9. I'll save and exit that. And you will see that this recalculate button has come up. So we give you the ability to recalculate your own payroll. And obviously the benefits of that is just honing back on that message that this is all live data. So you can recalculate payroll, refresh it, see the impact of all the changes you're making. So it means when you submit your payroll, it's as accurate as possible to your knowledge. So then we're working with accurate data. So theoretically, your payroll run should be going very smoothly. And I regret doing that with my home Wi-Fi being lagging. So that's going to recalculate the payroll and make that amendment, which will then sit into the system. For your levers, it's just a case that you need to notify us that you have got a lever. We'll then produce the P45, which we'll push onto the employee self-service portal where they can go and download it. The only thing you need to be aware of is if you're asking employees to use a work email address, you'll just need to flip that onto a personal email address so they can then go and access their P45. The grace period is completely up to you, how long you'd like them to have access to the system. Majority of our clients go for a 90-day grace period, but should you want that lengthened or extended, just let us know during the implementation. Then going to look at reports. So actually before I did that, I missed a very important step. So this is blocked out at the moment, just because it's a demo set, but once you're happy with your payroll, you would then press the submit button. And at that point, your payroll's locked because it's then sitting with your outsourced servicing team who is going to be processing that payroll for you. Once they've processed the payroll, they'll then send you checking reports back. We've got around 40 reports as standard, but again, it's your choice what reports you would like to sign off on. We typically send them in a report pack just because it looks a bit neater. Our average length of client stays with us for 14 years, so you can imagine how many reports they're going to have. So we don't want all individual ones, we just want report backs. You can then go and flick back the reports. It's not a case of once you check them, they disappear. They stay on the software, so you can always toggle back to compare what was the report this year compared to last year. If we just look at a couple of examples, so if we look at a payroll analysis, reports, you'll notice we've got some in PDF, some in Excel. Some are naturally just a bit better suited to being in an Excel or PDF, but you can just tell us how you'd like them to be sent to you. So on the payroll analysis, we've got your reconciliation totals at the top, total number of employee payslip, your gross pay analysis, what you owe the taxman, and your pension scheme liabilities. You'll see here we've got a whole range of pensions, so the system can handle multiple pension schemes. It's just a case of us building your pension schemes into the system during implementation and you telling us your rules against those, and we'll automatically do auto enrolment as well. If we have a look at a gross to net. So, sorry, just to zoom in. This one probably would have been one better suited in an Excel. However, it can be in a PDF. It's just going to show all of your employees, your build up to gross, and then we've got your breakdown to net here. And I'm hoping on here I've got a pay variance report. This is a favourite amongst our clients. With the variance, you can tell us if you'd like a threshold to be there, whether that's a percentage or a particular value, or no threshold. It's completely your choice. What we've got is we've got your current, previous, and the variance. and it's going to show where that variance has occurred across the different pay elements and what amount was attributed to that. So a really nice way of checking your payroll. We can also do your journals. If you require a custom journal, it's no problem. It's just that we'll need to have a look at an example of your journal ahead of doing the implementation work, just so we can scope out the work required for that. Your journal would then sit in here with your checking reports, so your finance can then just upload that directly into whatever system it is that you're using for your journals. We've got a messaging functionality as well. So in terms of the support you can expect, you'd have a dedicated payroll team. Within that payroll team, there's 5 to 7 employees. We'd never have just 1 or 2, because what happens if they're both taking annual leave at the same day, or they both happen to be poorly at the same time? We need a whole contingency in there. So that's why we have teams of 5 to 7 employees. Within that team, you have a payroll manager and a named contact. So although you've got 5 or 7 people working in the team, we want you as much as possible just to be speaking to one particular person within the team. You then have their payroll manager as well. You have numbers for both of these employees, and you'll also obviously know them by name. So you can just pick up the phone and give them a call. But if you would just like to pop a message to them, you can do that using the messaging functionality. You can CC in your colleagues. So this is going straight to your team. But if a few of you do have access to the system, so if, for example, this is where you're signing off on your payroll, I'm in HR, but I just want to CC in finance to say I'm signing off on the payroll. Let's pretend Jeff's in finance. I'd CC him in, pop the subject in, pop the message in, any supporting attachments, and send that through. We haven't got any on this example, but all of your messages would appear here, and you've got a full audit of them as well, and it will show when the message is in progress, when it's been resolved. So you've got the status as well associated with all of the messages. We have a what's new toggle. So if you were to come on board, as standard, we do a quarterly review session with you just to see how you find the software, if you'd make any improvements, and we tend to group you in by sector. So it's also a really nice way for you to meet our other clients, see how they're utilising the software. They might be doing something slightly different to you, which you think could benefit you. During those feedback sessions, we take on your feedback. So if there's anything you like on the software in particular, anything you think could do with a slight improvement, we take that on board, and then we show you exactly what we're doing with the software. So if we're doing an improvement, it'll be classified as improvement. If it's a new feature, it'd be classified as a brand new feature. You can give your feedback as well. I would just say don't put a sad face unless you actually are sad, because our dev team are pretty hot on those. And it's an in-house dev team working on the software. So all our own software, no chance of being lifted and shifted. Settings, this is just where you can see everybody who's got access to the payroll. So if there are a few of you and you've got different payroll access, so some of you might have read only, some of you might be able to go and actually have full admin rights. This page would just show you exactly who's got access to the system. So that in effect is a payroll. So quite straightforward. I hope you'll agree on how it looks. Obviously, it needs to be straightforward, because the reason you're outsourcing your payroll is because you don't want the burden of having to do all of the nitty-gritty payroll stuff. It just needs to be nice, fresh and clean for you to look at, easy to pop your details into, and then we're going to do the rest for you. Just want to really quickly touch on groups. And I don't want to say too much on groups, because like I mentioned, we have got a webinar tomorrow at 2 o'clock for groups. Groups is a brand new product which we've brought out with the aim of devolving responsibility to managers. So this is particularly relevant if you are in a multi-academy trust, and if you'd like each of the individual schools to directly put their payroll information into the system, that can then go to you if you have a centralised team to check everything they've put into the system, and then just directly submit that through. So there's no need for employee to be emailing manager, manager to be emailing a central business unit team, them then having to pop it into the system, send it back to the manager to say, are you happy with what I've popped in? Actually, no, let's just have the business manager put everything into the system. You can then see the impact. If you're happy with it, you can approve it. So it's just a really, really seamless way of getting the payroll data into the software. I summarise that in 2 sentences. So obviously you do want to go, if you like the sound of it, go to the groups webinar, because they'll go into a lot more detail on it. This is what you'd be able to see though if you did have groups. So at the moment, I'm viewing all groups. So I can view all of my total costs, the year-on-year cost comparison, my total employees, all of the pay elements and the pay variance associated with those. But then underneath, I can see all of my specific groups and the managers associated with all of those groups. So if actually I'm only concerned with seeing Birmingham, I'll click onto Birmingham, and then I can see Birmingham's total cost year on year, all the total employees. Should you want more details, you just select more details, and this will then bring up the report to give you that more information. If you were a manager, this is what you would see when you're directly popping the information in. So like we've just been through, but it's only going to show the employees relevant to that specific group. But in the instance of the education webinar, it would probably be classified as a school. Whistle stop tour on groups, I know, but like I said, join the webinar tomorrow if you do want to know more. Hopefully you have seen today the benefits of using the software, so directly being able to get all of your information into the software, seeing the impact it has, so you can then submit your payroll knowing it's as clean as possible. We have been monitoring the chat box, so pop a note in there if you'd like a follow-up call with myself, if you've got any other questions, and thank you very much for attending. See you later.